Hello, hello, hello!
Hello!
Welcome in, folks. Welcome in, guys. Very excited to have you here for Allied Heroes. How you doing, Parker?
I'm good. How are
You
you?
good? I'm good. I'm good. I'm living the dream. And we are here with an amazing guest today, the incredible Nurdrocks. Matt, say hello to the people.
Hey, what is up, everybody? You look beautiful. I can't see you, but I know you look fantastic.
Now we're gonna interview. We're gonna learn all about you in a minute here. But first, where can the people find all the amazing content you make?
You can find everything at Nerdy Rocks on all those different social media. So if you want to go to TikTok, you're on Twitch, you're on Instagram, you're on Twitter, all the fun things. NURD rocks like multiple Dwayne Johnsons. It's real easy to find.
Oh man, thank you, my friend. Really appreciate it. We're gonna really quick do some announcements here between Parker and I, and then we're gonna get to interviewing. We're gonna learn all about you. Okay, Parker.
I will ooh and ah appropriately at the announcement.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm here with your schedule. So our next program for this week is July 9th, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. You can join us for Off the Rails. Then July 10th, you can come in and join us for Conundrum Company. This week, it's at 6 p.m. EST like always, but we're featuring Commune DM. So Commune will be guesting with us that day. It'll be super exciting. And then July 11th, you can join us for Roundtable. So yeah, that's this week. And then also a reminder, we're really, really close to the end of our 10K, we're really, really close to the end of our community event. When that is funded, we're doing our 10K giveaway because we hit 10K followers here on Twitch. We're doing that giveaway during community event one shot. So get that funded and we will do that. I believe that's it.
Wow, that was a lot. It just keeps growing, Parker. There's always more
I
stuff,
know. Always more.
And of course, none of this amazing content could happen without our fantastic sponsors, the first of whom is Skull Splitter Dice. Yeah, Skull Splitter Dice, guys. They sponsor our shows.
I can't be Adam.
They sponsor our shows, which we very much appreciate. But they also sponsor a giveaway during our shows. You can get on during the live campaigns or show up during the breaks. Then you can get yourself in to win some cool prizes from them. In the meantime, go over to their webpage. Take a look at their products. Very good dice. I was just perusing the other day. They got some new things in there. We really appreciate those folks. So highly recommend taking a look over there. And of course, our second sponsor, the gooeyest of cube companies, Gooey Cube. Guys, Gooey Cube. They make a whole...
Thank you.
That's right. I love having you here, Matt. You got the hype going. It's perfect. GUIQ has a bunch of cool supplemental materials. They have a whole world built out for game masters to use at their tabletops. You can click on that link in chat, go over there, and get yourself a copy of it. They do everything for you. So if you don't have time to do it, like some folks do, they'll do it for you, which is pretty great. Parker, back to you. Community event stuff.
So our community event that I just mentioned, we are doing a Humblewood one-shot DM'd by the wonderful Captain Krail, featuring 2 members from both campaigns. So 2 members from Off the Rails, 2 members from Conundrum Company. Those will be announced ASAP as soon as we fund that. So, yeah.
Woo! Huge shout out to all of our community members, of course, all of our campaign members and Tanner with Haldor for helping us get our Twiki up and running. There's all kinds of information in there. It's constantly being updated. It's very good. It's very cool. We highly recommend you head over there. There's all kinds of episode synopses. There's all kinds of cool shit. So take a look. And of course, last but not least, most importantly, we want to direct folks towards our charity for this month. We'd like you all to focus on the ASPCA. For over 150 years, the ASPCA has worked tirelessly to put an end to animal abuse and neglect. They are a national leader in animal rescue, protection, and placement, and your tax-deductible donations will help fight cruelty and make life-changing differences for animals across America. Guys, before you get those subs in, before you go buy things in the merch store, before you do whatever, go to the ASPCA, click on the donate button in the About Us section or in the chat over there, and make a donation in our name, a friend's name, a pet's name, whatever. Just make a donation.
I'd like all donations made to Sassy the Inn Cat. That would be fun.
Sassy the Inn Cat. Yes, I love that.
Sassy the Inn Cat.
She's having a real rough day. I was telling Parker that.
Sassy Soldiers.
She's had a rough one. Sassy, yes, Matt, that's amazing. Sassy Soldiers, so good. Okay, I think that's it for announcements, which means we get to head into the show proper. we're gonna start by talking about what we're fidgeting with today. So you know how I've been building this Gundam for like ever. I'm doing panel lining on it today. So I take this pen, I draw lines in the panels to make them more pronounced. The end. That's what I'm doing. Parker, what are you working on?
I am working on styling a wig that I've been putting off. So we'll see if I actually end up cutting anything by the end of this.
Ooh.
But I've been working on it because cons start back. So
wigs are stressful, man.
Yeah, they are. So we'll see. We'll see what I can do.
It's only real hair is more stressful than wigs, I think.
That's fair.
All right, Matt. What about you, my guy? What do you got for us?
I am going to be slowly but surely working on creating some of my characters for my game I'm playing, Mutants and Masterminds. Shout out to Mutants and Masterminds. They're on their 3rd edition right now, and this is a Rogues Gallery book, and so I'm just, working on a little something to put together some tights and fights.
So what sort of system is Mutants and Masterminds? Is it D20, D6?
It's D20. It's really reminiscent of, if you remember 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons, where like everything was real intricate. That's what we're looking at here.
Pathfinder-esque
It's
sort
all
of.
designed. Yes, it's designed around a superhero system as opposed to a fantasy, kind of like sword and sorcery system. So it's a really fun as a comic book dude. I've been really looking forward to it. I might have bought more books than I needed to, but I got them.
That pile just kept growing. It is.
These are just the ones I brought with me. I still have some back at them.
Oh my god, that looks amazing. Honestly, it's superheroes near and dear to. We were talking comics before this started, so
yes,
yeah. Oh, I'm hyped to see. Okay, well,
on the secret before channel, you have to find it in your cereal box.
Yeah, that's the behind the scenes content. Put it in the director's cut. All right, I think that means it's time to start asking questions. So, Parker, how are you?
Hit me.
All right. So the first question is, how'd you get into D&D or TTRPG in general?
Ooh, yes. Dungeons and Dragons is very in my DNA. I've been playing for a very long time. I got into Dungeons and Dragons in high school, I think around sophomore year, so my second year of high school. I had a group of friends that would go over to my friend Kyle's house, who had a lovely basement and a huge wooden table. And we would play 3.5 Dungeons and Dragons. And it would last a weekend sometimes. We'd stay there. Huge campaigns, which I don't think we ever finished any of them. And it was constant new adventures, but I got into that, and it was, you got to have all the fun back and forth during that time where Dungeons and Dragons was considered the work of the enemy, for those of you who were raised cool. And I just got to play anyway.
That's awesome. Oh my gosh. Hello, Raiders. Welcome in.
Hello.
Tazy and everybody there. Wow, look at you guys. Good to see you. So
hello, everyone.
That's like the quintessential D&D origin story, right? That like...
Oh, yeah.
I love the big wooden table imagery that you cast. It's so accurate. Like, that one friend who had the biggest table and the best basement was the... Yeah.
In the best basement. That's just where you did it.
Yeah, and the parents who weren't worried that you were worshiping Satan, right? Yeah, I got you.
It was a very good mix. I'm convinced that no one started playing Dungeons and Dragons. Somehow someone was always brought in by someone else, and it has never truly been created. It was always around.
That's so accurate, though, because it literally, like, when it was the initial, like, Gygax group in Greyhawk, right? Like, they were just playing, and they just brought more people in and cycled them through until it became a publication. Like, you're not wrong.
I think it always existed, and at some point it just, like, grew into a thing. And now we have books about it. multiple books.
Way too many. Stacks and stacks. So, okay,
So
so
many books. Stacks.
you've been playing D&D at least since 3.5. So what's your favorite class?
Yes. Ooh, okay. So, we'll keep it in 5e because I know a lot of people like have 5e. Like most people are into the 5e universe now, so we'll keep it in 5e. I think my favorite class is Warlock. I know people are gonna like agree with me on that, but I think Warlock is the best class.
You know, I really like Warlock
It's-
as well.
yeah.
What's your reasoning behind the Warlock though? Is there a specific thing that does it for you?
Yeah, I think in the lore of the game, warlocks are so much more interesting because, like, unlike wizards who've probably been studying their whole lives, sorcerers who's always been magical, clerics and paladins who are like, I believe in this thing really hard, and they get magic, and, or then like the martial classes, you know.
Yeah.
Fighters do what fighters do, rogues do what rogues do, and monks are Naruto essentially. Um, but what I like about warlocks is that they can be anybody from any point in time, and it's not like, oh, I've had magic my whole life. It's often it's just like, yo, I needed to get out of this bad situation, and some guy showed up and was like, hey, I'll give you some magic. I just deliver this mail for me, and they're like, oh, cool. And that mail just so happens to be someone's soul to a demon somewhere, and you just have to be like, oh wait, what? And they're like, yep, that's what I wanted you to do. Thanks for your servitude. Boop-a-doop-a-doop. I feel like that's fun, and it allows the DM to have some more interesting interactions. And I don't know, I like the idea of like this weird transactional relationship between character and this ridiculous being that isn't a deity, is just like a guy,
A dude
that's giving people powers,
throwing magic about.
Yeah,
That's valid.
really though.
I've heard that from a lot
Warlocks.
of Warlock fans. Honestly, like it is a very valid reason to love that class.
Mm. I don't like the lack of like a lot of magic, but it makes it feel really important when you use like one of the 2 slots you get.
Yeah, you're like, oh, here it goes.
Here we go, we did it. But evocations are so cool. I think like people forget like the evocations are like, yeah, are so dope that
Eldritch
like
Blast
you
too.
right, Eldritch Blast is great, but I just made a character, right? I have a character I only play in a campaign where I don't have Eldritch Blast. I literally don't even use it. I don't really have any combat spells. My character is a genasi, air genasi whose father is his patron, is like a genie. And
Nice.
so I'm just like walking around going on a tour, like I'm going on holiday. And I'm just like kind of like walking around, and I don't have any spells or offensive spells because I've never been harmed. I've lived in a world where I can just wish whatever I want whenever I want. So I've never been harmed.
You've never needed the magic, yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
I've never needed the magic, and so I'm just kind of walking around and every time I run into something too bad or like I narrowly escape danger, I'm like, Dad, I'm gonna need some more power, please. He's like, oh, okay, son, I love you. Like, here's some more. Thanks, Dad. Boop, ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop. And I just keep walking around being a magical trust fund baby, and I thoroughly enjoy.
Magical Trust Fun Baby is my new favorite.
They
Yeah.
get such flavorful
It's
like class extras too, right? Like, don't you
Okay.
as a Jinn warlock, don't you get like the ability to like have your own little lamp you can go in? Is that right?
Yes, I have like my own apartment.
Yeah.
And I'm also sleeping like on the ground, and I'm just like in this lavish apartment, and just living the dream. And I just come out being like, "Oh, you all are so dirty. Like, you guys like sleeping on the ground?" Like all. And I'm an air gymnastic, so it's like you guys have to breathe like all the time.
Just
like all the time. Like,
flex.
wow, that's so crazy.
I'm picturing.
That's
I'm
right.
hello.
I thoroughly enjoy the idea of a Genasi that literally is just like, oh, you have to, you don't have a choice. You breed the poison. Okay, well, whatever you feel, necessary.
Like, all right. I'm
You
not
do
trying to
you.
harsh your guys' mellow or anything. I would just not breathe.
I'll just not
And there's
breed
a lot of
that.
climbing in. There's a lot of climbing in our campaign, and I just like can cast levitate, so I just kind of like float. So like, I very rarely climb anything, and I'm just like floating while risking their lives coming down this dungeon, and I'm just like. So, but I don't have Eldritch Blast. I don't have any real offensive spells. What I will say though is that being able to cast Speak with Animals at will is amazing
Oh my
because it
gosh.
just forces your DM to like have to come up with animal voices on the fly.
I do love that.
That's super valid. That's super.
It's beautiful, and it's like, Dad, animals don't talk here. That's so annoying. Like, oh, well, here you go. Now you can talk to them. Thanks, Dad.
Oh,
Beautiful. Warlocks, highly underrated.
Parker, I think you're up, right?
I am. So, do you have a favorite race that you play? Do you have one that you lean more towards?
I love changelings.
Nice.
I don't get to play them as often as I'd
Good choice.
like, because not everybody has them in the campaign or whatever. I just think they're so great. It's like Mystique is a great character. Shout out to all my Mystique fans in the chat. Mystique is such a great character. The idea, like, oh, I just transform into somebody else, and that's just like how I roll. So I love changelings. I will play one if I can get the chance to. One of my favorite combos for some of you combo fans out there is I play a changeling druid Circle of the Moon.
Good lord.
So I just shapeshift all over the place.
Nobody
I
actually
shapeshift into
knows your
people.
true form.
I shapeshift into animals. No one knows what I'm doing. I'm just running around. He doesn't have the best spread character point wise, but I don't care. Sometimes you just do things that are fun.
Yes.
And you shifting all over the place is like one of the things I like to do. The character was named Danny the Street, based off of Danny the Street from the Doom Patrol. For those of you who know, our favorite transgendered sentient street character, Danny the Street.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, no, that's one of my favorite characters in comics. Or is it Billy the Street? I'm pretty sure it's Danny the Street though. In the Doom Patrol, they are a sentient street that identifies as trans
Oh, that's so good.
and uses they them pronouns and will exist in any place that a street can exist, and they will just be there, and the city just forms around them, and it's amazing. One of my favorite characters in comics.
That's
So
so
cool.
good. That's so good. Yeah, guys, we're getting a little. So Matt's traveling, so there is a little bit of an audio desync, guys. We're sorry about that, but alas, nothing we can do about network connectivity. But we can all hear him and understand him, and see his beautiful face. That's the most important part. So,
Yes, yes.
thank you for the heads up, though. We appreciate it, guys. Okay. I think that makes my question. So you said your favorite class. Is there a class in 5e, let's just say, that you haven't played that you want to try or you want to revisit?
Echo Knight.
Yeah.
I haven't played. It's a fighter, but it's the extra
specifics.
bit of the Echo Knight. Like the idea of like having like a shadow clone that shoots out and punches troops, and I think that's fun. I like the we had talked Invincible earlier,
Yes.
and I like the idea of like nobody knowing if you're the clone or if you're not.
Oh,
the
yes.
clone.
The brothers. Yeah, that's so
I
good.
like that. Yeah, I like that dynamic, and I think I'd have fun playing with the concept of, again, if I was a changeling, it'd just be like, who is really the real person?
That's
He's like, we don't even know at this point. We're just
God, that's an inspired
Whip it
Echo Knight
around.
backstory. Yeah, who's the real one, the Echo or the you don't know and you have to deal with your mortality?
Uh,
My lord.
yeah.
Oh,
It's
it's
like,
brilliant.
or like The Prestige. Remember the movie The Prestige? Was it with Hugh Jackman, where he kept creating spoilers for The Prestige, I guess, but where he kept creating clones of himself and killing them underneath underneath the stage,
Oh
Oh
like
my
a vat of
gosh.
water.
That's so good. God,
Yes.
I would love to play with that character. That's fantastic. Echo Knight is a lot of fun.
Oh yes.
We have an
Mhm,
Echo Knight
mhm.
Druid multi-class in our Saturday campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Who's
That's just one
Very
polar
good.
bear, two polar bears. Wait,
Oh.
what?
There are
Like,
Eric Ganassi as well,
That's
actually.
super fun.
Yes.
Just to kind of
Shout out to the Ganassis.
yeah,
They're
Yes.
the best. Like I said, they're very fun to play. You know, lean into that weird "I'm not human" bit as often as you can, because it's some of the best stuff.
Oh yeah.
Mm-mm-mm.
We really like
No,
Ganassis.
I like.
Parker plays
I
one too.
want to try to do the Echo Knight sometime.
I
Ooh, you played what's the pitch?
I play a Water Ganassi bard, who's the captain of a ship. She's very fun.
I
Don't know
love it.
anything about her parents yet, but Josh has told me enough vague things to be worried, so I'm excited.
There's lots of fun lore things with
DM with the
Ganassi.
scariness. I love it. Yes, you have so much fun to be had with them.
Yes.
Mm.
A lot of powerful,
I love it.
unique lore to play with.
So
Yes, and it fits into any campaign really.
it does.
Very much. Very much.
Is there a race in the player's handbook that you haven't tried or that you want to try next? Are there any that you haven't
Let me
given a
think.
shot yet?
Ooh, I have a character in mind
Mhm.
for a campaign that I'm very much looking forward to. It has not presented itself, but I'm waiting for it to happen. And it is the newest. It's that new one where it's like you're a construct. You're like a human zombie. You're like a
The Undying.
Yeah, the Undying. Thank you. That's
Yeah.
what I'm thinking.
I just did a review of it
That's
with one of
what
my friends. Yeah. Very good.
I want to do that one. It's just such an interesting concept. I have a my plan is to be a cleric and to just be the idea in my head is that I would be a cleric of love and running around like a cupid running around trying to get to tell people like, oh, love is the most important thing, and everybody and performing marriages and stuff. And my name would be Val and Stein.
Oh my
Oh my
God. We are
God.
here for the puns, my guy. We are here for the puns.
That's the move.
Oh,
That's
that's
the
beautiful.
move. That's all I want. It was mostly for the name. Like I don't even know. I just liked the name
Is this
so
one of those
much.
characters that the name
Built a
came
person
first?
around it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
Yes, I built the
Valens.
whole being around the name.
Oh, that's
And
powerful.
He's a love cleric. So I'm trying to figure out how to make that work. But I like the idea of a undead character that's not necessarily like a monster, but like
Mhm.
people might think of it that way. I think it's interesting.
They're not
Mhm.
phased by death, and they have their own like. It fits well with the like purpose. You know what I mean? Element of that.
Yeah.
God, that's a very strong.
Yeah, just like, oh yeah, I have a
That's awesome.
in my head, the concept would be this is how I built the story in my head. A cult, an evil cult, well, not evil necessarily, but a cult nonetheless, kind of like put together that there are certain beings that are preferred creatures by the gods, and there are other beings like themselves that are not preferred creatures, which
no.
they would refer to colloquially as PCs and NPCs. They realize that they're NPCs And so they've been taking little bits of people that they've seen sparks in and putting them together to try to create their own PC because they've seen that they seem to have like more power, like a semblance of like a free will stronger than their own, like lives that just have more to them. And so they were trying to figure out how to make a preferred creature. And then they would make my character, and then my character they will have succeeded, and then have to deal with this cult now, going crazy, trying to like cut the soul out of people in order to give themselves agency outside of the DM's will.
I love
my
the
God.
meta cult. I love a cult that is well aware of the like rules of the universe. That's very powerful.
And so then everyone thinks they're crazy. Everyone thinks they're crazy. They're like, no, we're all not real. Like, the only people that are real are those 5 people. Everyone's like, you're insane.
This is a thought experiment.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Don't you realize that, like, we all sound like one of 4 people? Like, all of our voices, everyone's voice, is one of 4 people. A British guy, a high-pitched other person, a low-pitched other person, and then just a vague accent.
That's incredible. Oh my lord. Okay. So
That's my dream. That's my dream.
that's a beautiful dream. I'm here for it. I hope it manifests. So do you have a favorite class that you like to play? Like, what's your go-to? What's your number one?
I thought we did that.
Did we?
Oh, yeah, we did
Warlock.
Roy. I said Roy.
Oh my gosh, what is wrong with me?
My favorite, yeah.
Wow, I've got this on here
I'll
twice.
say it again, Warlock.
It's the least favorite.
Well,
What is your least favorite class to play and why? Thank you, Parker. I'm a
Then
doofus.
You're not.
We lost without you.
I I don't like wizards.
Oh.
I've never played a wizard, and I don't want to play a wizard. I feel no kinship to that at all. Not that there's anything wrong with it necessarily. I just, it just seems so. There's so many cooler ways to get magic than going to school. No, I don't.
You're like, I don't want
it. There's so many cooler ways to get magic than school, and I feel like I'd rather get it a cool way.
Honestly, that's valid.
Super fair.
And I would say the same things about clerics, but the gods they can worship are could be super rad. So that it's kind of just like, oh, okay, because it's the same thing. Like you get your powers by going to a church a lot, but that could be different if you're just like a war cleric and you're just like, yeah, I've been on the battlefield so much that the god of war is like, hey, sister, you're dope. And then she starts killing everybody. Like, that is, a cool character. I went to school. I learned how to use magic because of my book. Can I get your spell, please? Can I copy off you? I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it.
Doesn't do it for you. Doesn't do it.
Doesn't do it for me. Doesn't do it for me. I'm sure someone could show me a really cool version of that. But then I would just say, well, what if you were just the Tome Warlock with a cool book, and you just could do cool things? You'd be like Constantine, who's just essentially a wizard, but is more of a warlock, in my opinion.
Valid, super valid.
Yeah. So that'd be mine. Or if we had to do it up, the Way of the Four Elements monk, because that's just Super Bowl.
It also doesn't work very well.
No, it doesn't. Just be a sorcerer or be a different type of monk. You don't hinder yourself.
Don't
have
do
a
it,
shadow monk that teleports. You could be Nightcrawler and just do that instead.
Super valid.
Shout out to everybody who likes wizards, and you guys are cool, and don't listen to me. Keep playing wizards all day.
Well, I think the beauty of this question is it's entirely subjective every time. We always get a different answer.
Oh no. I'm completely wrong. I'm happy to be wrong. Wizards are the best.
You are accurate in your feelings for yourself. That's the beauty.
I My feelings are valid, and I will take them. Oh,
All right, Parker, I think you're up,
I
boss.
love it.
I am. Do you have a least favorite race to play? So like one that just has never really interested you.
Yeah. Elf.
That is an answer
Just
we've gotten.
like your regular, just your regular elf. And this might be, I don't know how heavy this podcast is supposed to be, but like elves have been coded to be like skinny white people, and I'm just like not either of those things, and I don't really feel like bringing like there's enough of that. There's enough of them, and if you want to do that, super great. And I know I don't have to be that way, but I feel like it so leans in that direction that I'd rather just play a different like person. I like half elves just fine because I like the concept of just being like, I don't know where I fit in, just
Not
like half
belonging,
works, you know.
yeah.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm into that as a concept. I just don't know. Uh, I see human in the. I saw someone typed human in the chat, and I let me be the first to say that I love. Even though it's kind of like, why would you play a human? You have all these other like magical beings you could be. You're already human all the time. But like something about the finite amount of life that a human has in the Dungeons and Dragons game intrigues me. Same with half orcs, because like canonically they live to be like 35 years old at the old end.
They're almost
So like the
fragile in a
idea
way.
that like
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you're just like you have a very short time to get all of your ambitions figured out. And I think that's one of the reasons why humans keep being really awesome in Dungeons and Dragons as far as like in the lore of the game is concerned is because they only got 60, 70 years to do what they wanted to do. You know, that's if they don't get eaten by something first. While an elf will be like, "What? I'm 170. Well, I still got about 300 years left to go. Like
I've
I
got my
can
whole life
just
ahead
take
of
my
me.
time on that."
Yeah.
Yeah, like humans are the dogs compared to elves and dwarves and gnomes, just running around, panting and digging up bones in the backyard, being like, "Isn't this crazy?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember when that species went away forever." That's the elf next door.
I was there.
And so yeah, I just like me. I like being humans, but yeah, no, I don't really play elves. I don't think I've ever just played just an elf. I just find it kind of like meh to me.
That's interesting. That's really interesting. So we're getting close to the end of our questions for Matt here, guys. So
Oh no, I'm sorry. I
prepare
talked too
yourselves. No. This is beautiful. We've got a few more. But what we're wanting the audience to do is to start thinking of questions you want to ask, because now is your time to shine. Put them in chat. We will ask them. Guys, if you highlight, it's easier for Parker and I to catch them. So try and highlight them. If you're not able to highlight because it costs points or whatever, the mods will try to highlight for you guys. So just write them up and we will get to that portion soon. Just 2 more questions from us. And the first of those questions is, you're a content creator, my friend. What's your origin story? How did you get into content creation?
So I started making music, which is my primary thing that I create. Like as old as when I started walking around and talking. Like so I've been in music for I did rock and roll for a while, and then I switched over to hip hop in around 2018. And that kind of blew up into its whole thing. I got to be a little bit more of myself, kind of talk more about the things I like to do, Dungeons and Dragons being a big one of them.
Hell
I know
yes.
for those of you who can't see, if you see my Nerdy Club t-shirt, you got the D20s right in there, not to mention some Bullet Club imagery. Shout out to New Japan Wrestling fans. And yeah, that's where I got started into it. Doing music, doing theater. Shout out to the theater kids. I know there's a lot of overlap between us Dungeons and Dragons kids and people who sang Seussical the musical at some point in their time.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's where I get started. That's where I got to begin.
Oh my gosh. So you just kind of, and what, like, So you said you started with rock. What got you there? Like, what put you into rock?
I love 80s hair metal. I couldn't tell you much more than that. Like the pageantry, the dancing around, the lights, the smoke, all of that seemed like what I want to be and do. Prince is one of my favorite artists. As I'm from Minnesota, shout out to, and Prince was like a god. So it was cool. I wanted to do something like that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I love that. And so, but you just kind of switched over to hip hop. It felt more true to your style.
It felt more, yeah. It was more like what I wanted to do. First of all, being in a rock band takes a lot of work. Everybody's got to kind of cooperate a whole bunch, and if everybody's not on the same page, it gets really difficult. So I try to tell people all the time, yo, if you love rock and roll, get yourself a really great, amazing group of people, and then just kind of ride it out as best you can, because it can get a little bumpy. When you do hip hop, though, unless you're forming a hip hop group like Public Enemy or NWA or something like that, like it's just you. You can work as hard or as not hard as you want. You do whatever kind of shows you feel like doing. You're just a lot more on your shoulders. So yeah, I went over to hip hop to kind of just be a little bit more myself, and it worked out really well. Because I wasn't singing about Dungeons and Dragons beforehand. It's working really well.
That's so cool. That's so good, man. I love that.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Like you just said, having to like coordinate a band is really. I'm like, it's like coordinating a D&D table, right? Like, right?
Yeah.
That would be true.
Oh.
Yes. I tell everybody being in a band or like trying to lead a band. Sometimes for me, it felt like being like a single dad. It's just like a bunch of kids running around. Where's your guitar? Did you remember your guitar? Why don't you have your jacket? I just put you in your jacket a second ago.
That's amazing.
It was just a lot of like running around chasing after chords and whatnot of things that you don't know. You're just like, ah! But it's a beautiful time. Some of my best friends were made in that time. A lot of them have moved over to like play with me even in my hip hop, which is really fun.
Oh, that's amazing too. That that like relationships stayed together and everything.
Yeah, it's like one of my favorite things about music is that you can grow together. It's super fun.
Well, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah. So I think this is our last question, and then I'm gonna focus on that. So, what's your biggest hobby outside of D&D? Would you consider it music, or is that more work now?
That's more work and like love life thing. I say my next biggest hobby is professional wrestling.
Really?
I'm a big pro wrestling fan.
Oh.
Yes. Oh, huge, massive. So I will watch. I will try to go to the thing. I mean, obviously for the last year there hasn't been a whole lot, but like back when there was things, I would try to go shows. I was tempted to join in a school myself and learn to get between the ropes, but I think I might have to hold off on that a little bit. Just at least until everything get a few more pull-ups under my belt, because that takes so much.
Yeah, it's incredible. It really is.
But yeah, professional wrestling is my favorite. It's one of my favorite things.
So we need a pro wrestling TTRPG for you, is what you're telling me.
There are pro wrestling TTRPGs.
There are?
And they're great.
Really?
Oh
that's
yes,
amazing.
I saw one of those at my local comic book store. It was like a little book, and it had all like these things, and you create a character, and you're supposed to like. It wouldn't be fun for anyone who didn't like professional wrestling to tell from reading it, but for someone who loves professional wrestling, I was like, yes to all of this. Like, give me all of this stuff every day for the rest of my life. I would do that. I have to find my overlap. I have to find my tribe that both loves Dungeons and Dragons and TTRPG and also loves professional wrestling, and then I'll be a wrap.
I tell you what, it would be a very good
rap.
one shot.
Mm-hmm.
It would be.
Just saying. I
I'm
don't know
also a big
anything
fan
about
of
wrestling.
making Dungeons and Dragons fit other stuff.
That's valid.
Oh
Always.
yeah, I like so like if you wanted to make a one shot, just like it is a professional wrestling group, and you just make it work with all the classes and things, and you create. I would play the crap out of that. Are you kidding? Oh, that would be amazing.
So let's see. We're gonna go to questions in the chat. Our first one is
Yes,
from
chat.
Methalidor, and he asked, if you can cast Find Familiar in real life, what would your familiar be?
Ooh, good question.
Mm.
Always like this one.
Am I limited to the things that are like from the spell, or can I just like pick an animal?
You do
You can
you.
absolutely just pick an animal.
Okay, that's good to know. I think if I can cast Find Familiar, ooh, I think it would be a spider monkey.
Nice.
Because I remember when I was young, I used to watch Ace Ventura, and not the first one, but the second one, Ace Ventura When Nature Calls, and he had Spike, his little monkey friend, and I love that monkey so much. And they're so expressive, and they're cute, and they're just fluffy, and they just can run around. And I wouldn't have to worry about putting a diaper on it because it's not technically a real animal. It's a sprite. It doesn't looks
Doesn't have
like
to do
a
any
monkey.
of that. Yeah.
Doesn't have to
No
do any
cleanup.
of that, and that's what I would do. Yeah, I think I like that.
That's
Little
the best
monkey
of both worlds.
sit on my shoulder. We could look at each other. We could be like, "These guys are weird," and it would give me a same little face. I like that.
That's adorable. Oh,
So let's see.
that's smart too.
Kat asked the Auburn Alchemist, has there been a moment or character in game that impacted you significantly in real life?
Ooh, let me think. Let me think.
It's a deep question.
It is a deep question. I'm trying to remember. Okay. Okay, so this wasn't like it wasn't my character, but I think this is. So I got my fiance into Dungeons and Dragons. When we first started dating, she was like, "No, that's one of your weird nerd things, and I'm gonna leave that over there for you to do." And I was like, "Okay, cool," knowing full well that we were gonna play Dungeons and Dragons.
Absolutely.
And so, for I just hey, maybe we play. And so she ended up agreeing to play, and she made a character. She got it was her first character, whatever. But in this game, her character's father, who she named after her father in real life, was murdered by this mafia-esque character, and she had the ability to cast Speak with Dead, and engaging in her father with 3 questions before her father, and her real emotion, and watching her have this with me because I'm the DM of this game, having this moment where she's talking to her dead father and trying to ask questions and be like, "I'm so sorry," and she's crying in real life, and it's just it was one of the most I had never really seen the light bulb come on for somebody on how amazing Dungeons and Dragons playing can really be, and for it to be someone who's the person I care about most in this world, and to be able to be there in that moment, it was I carry that around with me always. It was very sad, but it was this beautiful sad. She's laughing and crying because she's I don't know why I'm feeling so emotional over this fake thing, but she had invested into her character's family, and to have that happen to her was really great. She wasn't super happy at me for killing
Yeah.
dad, but sometimes you gotta kill a fictional dad or two. You can't make a fictional omelet without cracking a few fictional eggs.
Father figures.
Yeah.
Josh has done that.
Woo!
I love killing familial figures.
The old
Little
DM's
family
toolkit.
trick.
Oh, you have family? Cool.
Not anymore.
Nice. How close are you guys? Real close? Real close? Great.
Let's see.
I love that.
Oh.
No,
Oh,
go
God.
ahead, Parker.
Kat also asked, best show moment you've ever had since becoming a solo artist.
Ooh.
Ooh, yes. I'll say this. Okay, so I was on tour with an artist. We were going around the country, and one of our last shows was in Minneapolis, where I'm from, where I live. And out of all the shows we did, like Chicago, Kentucky, we're all over the place, Nashville, I'm really nervous to go on stage in Minneapolis just because it's like, these are people I'll know. Like, I'll see them. If I mess up here, like, they're going to come at me. And I come up on stage for the first song, because I'm opening, right? So I come up on stage for the first song, and it's this packed out place. This First Avenue. For those of you who don't know, First the premier place to perform in Minnesota. It's like the house that Prince built. Super, super important, like, just musical history that's happened in this place. And I walk on stage, to a stage I used to always dream of performing on. And this packed house, they just start cheering. I haven't even said anything. And they start cheering. I could see my brother in the crowd. I see my fiance. I see all my friends. I see, like, all these people. And, like, people are crying and screaming. And I just remember being like, wow. Like, this is amazing. It's the most beautiful thing. And yeah, I did well. It was the thing. I did well. And I think that was probably my favorite moment of being a solo artist so far, was just like seeing the looks on my friends, family, and my community's face, just being like, wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you want to see.
I think that's it. That's a good question. Way to go, Auburn Alchemist, whose name I don't know.
It's funny. It is funny. There's this weird for the audience. Kat, my wife, plays Monster of the Week with Matt. Like, they play together. Yeah. So that's the
I've
connection.
heard about that game.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've heard it's very good.
Let's
No, Monster of the
see.
Week is great. You gotta hit it up.
Fantastic system. Fantastic.
The Auburn Alchemist also said, when are you going to cosplay? I feel like that was a personal question.
Oh, you suck. Okay.
It was in all caps. I thought about skipping it.
am working. Yes, I'm working towards it. Here's the thing. You know what I mean? We're gonna be real. Be real. We're on the welcome end. We're gonna be in this thing.
Yeah.
As someone who's a bigger dude, I feel like I've seen enough comic covers where they turn the superhero and make them fat, and I don't want to look like that character, because it always looks like, it wouldn't look like I'm cosplaying the Flash in my head, even though no one else might think that way. In my head, I think of it like, oh, he's cosplaying Fat Flash. And I don't want to do that, so I'm working my way into, like, getting into the cosplay scene, because I love it. I love the deck. Like, you could be anybody can be anybody. Always this, and it's 100% my own self-esteem for that. So I'm working on it. I have some characters that I've looked at that I'll be like, okay, I can do this character. I'll feel comfortable, and I'll work my way into the thing. It's just like there's not a whole lot of characters that look like me. You know what I mean? Like, even close, like anywhere close, like big black guys aren't huge
Representation,
in any version of
right?
media.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, yeah, like, so, like, what am I, like, everybody I'm going to be is either going to be one of the other two things. So yeah, I'm trying to get it together, but I will.
Well,
I
and
will
also,
do it, and I'll be sure to.
our community needs to fix its perspective regarding that. And people in the audience, if you're hearing me, do not say that shit to people. Like, look at the individual and appreciate what they've done. Like, what they're trying to do, for fuck's sake. Sorry.
Yes.
You're preaching to me right now. I need to hear that. That's great.
The cosplay community, well, and it's funny because there are parts of it that are the cosplay community, and a lot of it doesn't happen at conventions as much. But when you have the internet where people are just looking in on a community and it's not whatever, you get so many of those comments. And so it's super valid. That's a people problem.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with you. But I'm excited for you to try because cosplay.
We're gonna get there.
You're fantastic.
We're gonna get there. I'm gonna have a lot of fun with it. I know. Me and my friend Rowan, we dressed up as the Mega Powers, and they were Hulk Hogan, and I was Macho Man Randy Savage, and I liked that a whole lot. So,
oh yeah.
Fair. Super fair.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so good. Rowan's a legend.
3 minutes for
He's been on here.
Playtime.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Mythalidor asked, if you had to pick a real life class for yourself, what would it be? And would you multi-class?
Ooh, I love that. I love that question.
Good question.
So many people always think like, oh, you'd be a bard. You'd be a bard. You do music for a living, and obviously that would be like your thing. However, I think that if I had to be a class and I wasn't getting a class, or I wasn't choosing one, it was just based on my personality, that's what I think it would be back into a 3.5 class called a Beguiler, where it's just mostly, it's like if Rogue's magic was misdirection and deception and things of that nature. I feel like that'd be more actually my class, because maybe that's just imposter syndrome. Maybe that's just me thinking I'm supposed to be doing for real. But I feel like that's what it would be like. It'd just be like, oh man, you're such a great bard, and I'd be like, yep, sure am.
So it's such a relatable thing that you just said about bards, because it is something that I've come into contact with too, because I majored in classical music, and so everybody's like, you'd be a bard, and I also play a bard on Saturday, so you'd be a bard, and then my best friend was like, you'd be a druid.
Yep.
And I was like, you're right. You're not wrong.
You're right.
I was like,
I feel like I would be, whatever class I'd be, I would have the performance skill.
yeah.
But that wouldn't be what I was. I would just have that.
Yeah.
For real.
Oh, that's amazing.
I love that.
I love when it brings to light things about ourselves.
So that,
too.
So the best friend I just mentioned, Pinsnip, asked if you could make any wrestler into a D&D character, who would it be, and what would their race and class be?
That's such a good question, Pins.
Ooh. Okay, any professional wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to find someone interesting. Okay, I think what I would okay. I think it would be Bray Wyatt.
Mm-hmm.
For those of you who don't know Bray Wyatt, he's a WWE wrestler. I would make him a fallen Asimar, because that's kind of his bit. He's more of a creepy cult leader, but I'd make him a fallen Asimar. He would in my head, he would be a warlock. He'd have a warlock class, but he would also be I would say he'd be a barbarian, and that would throw people off because he's so quiet and soft-spoken. But then, when he goes berserk, it's just fear, instinctual fear. And there's the fiend that will come out, which is he'll pop his fallen Aasimar scary face. He'll have the skeletal wings come out. He'll be all like, rah, and he just starts pummeling people to the ground. And he doesn't even know that he's doing it. Like, I feel like he would just be like a whole nother person. And so he'd be walking around like being super, super nice to everybody, unless you don't let him in, which is the whole bit. It's Yowie Wowie. He's knocking everybody down.
Dude, I googled because I don't know
I
anything.
also did that.
And the ASMR, the face mask is one of the first pictures. Oh my god, that's very fitting.
Check it out. Like, if you haven't got a chance to check out Bray Wyatt, like he would be just like the very nice looking guy traveler, but he'd be like, when it's time to go, it'd be this creepy, without a doubt, evil fiend, essentially, with no real other way to it. So yeah, that's what I would do. That's what I think we would do.
That's amazing. That's so good. That's so good. Oh, wow. Well,
Good question. That was really good. That was really good.
Fantastic question. Oh my gosh. Well, I think we've made it to the end of the questions. Is that right? Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's perfectly timed. We're like at the top of the hour. So here's what we're gonna do.
We did it.
We did it, man. Matt, thanks for hanging out. How did things go with mutants and oh my lord, I've forgotten the name of the game.
Mutants and Masterminds. I have gotten a few of the characters written out, or at least placed on my book and on my sheet here of what I'm going to do. I am going to be building my it's called a hook. Building my hook and building my whole story, and my heroes are going to completely derail it as what players do. And I'm very looking forward to how.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so good. Parker, how'd your wig styling go?
It has a little anime thing right here.
Nice.
And then I've been trimming things and like styling the bottom of this. So I'm not attempting bangs, because you should cut bangs on your face, for anybody who's curious. Don't cut them on a wig, Ed.
Is that Gravity? Is that going to be for Gravity?
It's not. It's actually for this little character from Genshin Impact. It's Hu Tao, but she doesn't have her pigtails on there because I styled those separately. But very similar. I do have a lot of Gravity wigs.
That's awesome. Well, I actually got all of my paneling lined. Like, it's not going to show up, of course, on the camera, but his face, everything's like darker. You can see the panel lines in there. So, boom, done. Look at that. This is the first Highlight Heroes that I've been productive in months. All right.
My gosh.
So we're going to do a few quick announcements, and then we're going to close out on Matt, you letting everyone know where to find you. But really quick announcements. Yeah. Guys, a huge thank you to our fantastic partners, the first of whom is Soundtail. They bring all that ambiance to our games and shows. They've been with us since the beginning. They're fantastic. We highly recommend Soundtail. It's very, very good. The silverware in the background, that's Soundtail. So yeah, go get yourself a copy of that app. The link is in chat. Of course, our second partner being Arcane Anthems, another musician in the D&D community who makes a bunch of free D&D music. You can get it on his Patreon. He also makes our intro songs for our shows. We very much appreciate him for that. So click on the link in chat to check out his Patreon. Parker, what you got?
I'm here to remind you that we're affiliated with Found Familiar Coffee. So if you'd like D&D inspired coffee, you can use our code in chat for 10% off.
That's right. And of course, saving the best for last, most importantly, thank you to our fantastic mods who do all the work to keep up with us when we're rattling off announcements, who throw things out there so folks know where to find our amazing guests sharing Highlight Heroes, who help us with a million different things and make our community very, very safe and very, very wonderful. Guys, we'd be lost without you. We love you, mods. Much love, much love, much love. Now, Matt, back to you. Where can the people find you? What are you working on? What are you doing?
Yes, I am. I got a few new projects coming out, so I'm really excited about that. Also, if you're in the Minnesota area, there will be a Dungeons and Dragons type dinner and a show thing that we're putting together called D10K, and it's coming out very soon. I'm very looking. You'll see some more of that. If you follow me on all of my things, which is at Nurdrocks, Nurdrocks, and if you go to Spotify or wherever you check out your music, just type in Nerdy NUR-D. You should be able to find me, and in my song 20 Cha, which is a Dungeons and Dragons inspired song, and I hope you enjoy it.
That's so good. Oh, I love it, guys. So make sure you check it out. And if you're in the area, that sounds amazing. All right. Well,
it's going to be a lot of fun. It's Critical Role and Saturday Night Live all mixed into one.
ooh. Okay, yeah, you've got my attention. You've got the right audience here for that. All right. Well, with that, Matt, thank you again for joining us. Hopefully we'll see you on the channel again in the future. Parker, thanks for coming on.
Yes.
Always.
All right, everybody. Hey, see you later, audience. We'll be here
Bye, guys.
Friday. Bye. Well, yeah, I'm going to get there soon. There it is. Okay, you're out.